Well, we have ourselves a bona fide Hollywood plot twist. The Lakers are targeting the coach of a college powerhouse. A Pro Bowler gets released by the Chargers so that he can retire and help the team one last time. And Cameron Brink admits to her pretty privilege. That's going to play over well in the WNBA. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. It is June 6, 2024. I'm genuinely excited. I get to go home tomorrow. And again, bona fide breaking news. So, do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, then clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Pittsburgh 10, Dodgers 6. Look, James Paxton got rocked, allowing 6 earned runs in 1 2/3 innings for his first loss of the year. Shohei Ohtani and Andy Pages homer. Now, look, losing the first 2 games to the Pirates sucks. I get it. But the Dodgers still lead the division by 7 games. So again, no reason to fret. Meanwhile, I want to congratulate the WNBA press because for once, they didn't simp on what Cameron Brink was wearing. Minnesota still beat the Sparks down though, 86-62. The minus side, of course, the Sparks are 2-7. Derica Hamby led the Sparks with 17 points, 11 rebounds, but she was the only player on the team that scored in double figures. Once again, how many times do we have to say this? You can hype the tall blonde girl as much as you like, but at some point they have to play the game. Stop simping. Wait for them to start balling. Meanwhile, today the Dodgers are at Pittsburgh at 3:40. Walker Buehler is 1-3 with a 4.32 ERA. Bailey Falter is 3-2 with a 3.22 ERA. And let's get to the news. It's a story that only broke about an hour ago, but ESPN's Dan Wojnarowski reports that the Lakers are preparing a major offer for UConn head coach Dan Hurley. And from that, yes, you can get excited, but in addition to getting excited, I think it's fair to say we can all exhale. Not that the college game always directly translates to the NBA. But if you're going to roll the dice on a coach, the man won back-to-back NCAA titles and is arguably the best coach in basketball right now. The Huskies have gone 52-5 in their last 57 games. And it's going to be a move that's going to send shockwaves across not only the NBA, but aftershocks that are going to completely rattle college basketball. It also means that we can exhale because if this comes to pass, it is a logical move, a sane move. And if there's one thing that we can say about the Lakers, at some point sanity has to prevail, right? After all of the gossip, after all of the ridiculous blog posts that claims, oh, they're going to trade for this guy, or oh my God, they're going to go after, no. Finally, something that makes absolute perfect sense for the glamour franchise of the NBA. Everything we had heard about the Lakers coaching search prior to this has not been sane. It has been insane. Just yesterday, I was preparing to talk to you guys about how the Lakers were clearly floating trial balloons out there to see if fans would accept a podcaster as the head coach. Yes, I know JJ Redick played in the NBA. He's a damn podcaster. And a hot take specialist on ESPN. Clearly, never having coached an NBA game, clearly not qualified to take over the premier franchise of the league. Now, we do know, of course, that Redick and LeBron James are friends. So if you are wondering if Hurley is going to pass the LeBron James sniff test, know this. James tweeted a few months ago that Hurley, quote, is so damn good, along with his staff. Super creative with their O, love it, unquote. Now, I also acknowledge, though, It's a sane move. It doesn't automatically mean that we're going to start hanging banners 18, 19, etc. up in crypto.com arena. The track record of big name college coaches heading to the NBA is admittedly a little spotty. Larry Brown, though, former UCLA and Kansas coach, won a title in Detroit. Billy Donovan, back-to-back titles in Florida. Pretty decent in Oklahoma City, but eventually got run, and now he's in the abyss somewhere in Chicago. Now, if you're wondering, as for the offense that James touted, Hurley is apparently extremely adaptable to his personnel and opponents. This would be different than, say, previous coach Darvin Ham, who basically plucked the entire offensive scheme from his mentor, Mike Budenholzer. He was more of a defensive guy, Ham was. The UConn offense generates offense with a lot of player movement. They'll get 3-point shots, pass to the basket, lots of player movement, lots of screens. And in addition to that, by the way, multiple people would be tasked with ball handling, which means, again, the ball eventually comes out of James's hands to give the guy a chance to rest. This could spur new opportunities for development. Remember, he's a college coach. He has to develop his players. Austin Reeves, developing him for the next level. Rui Hachimura, getting consistency out of him for an entire season, possibly. What about the development of Max Christie, who last offseason killed it in the Summer League and didn't get off the bench at all during the NBA regular season? Those are possibilities. So are you relieved? Because I am. I mean, how could you not be relieved? Even if they didn't allegedly have Redick targeted for the top choice as head coach, the other names in the search were hardly giving anybody a case of the tingles. So yes, not a done deal. Could be a done deal in a few days. Hopefully will be a done deal in a few days. The Lakers are targeting UConn coach Dan Hurley. Meanwhile, with the Chargers, this was a bit of a fait accompli. The Chargers have finally released center Corey Linsley, who, as a result, will also retire from the NFL. He missed the last 14 games of last season with a heart issue. We pretty much knew that he was going to retire for months because he was saying there was a 99% chance that he would. Even though the heart problem was not emergent, it's your heart. You kind of need one of those to live. So, Wednesday, Linsley met the scribes. Obviously, he had dropped quite a few pounds from his 300-pound playing weight and said that in the grand scheme of things, he can't complain. He was a Pro Bowler. And because, of course, the Chargers knew that he was likely going to retire, that they were able to restructure his contract. That helped get them a little bit of cap relief. Remember, it was only a few months ago that they were in, as people like to say, salary cap hell. The Chargers also, because they knew Linsley was likely to retire, turned around and signed Bradley Bozeman, who is supposedly a good fit for Jim Harbaugh's preferred power running game. Now, the only regret that I would have about reading this is not with Linsley. It's simply the misfortune that his heart problem led to for the Chargers. See, the center calls the blocking schemes against the defensive front. The Chargers' offensive line looked absolutely lost the moment he was out. The prior front office built a team with a series of terrific starters and no bench to speak of behind them. So when Linsley went down, again, the guy who would call the blocking scheme, the entire offense of the Chargers collapsed like the house of cards that it was. It just is. So respect the man going out the door, wish him a good life, be thankful that there's a new front office that recognizes there has to be something in terms of depth, that there has to be something in terms of not just throwing the ball 50 times a game. There have been some really uncomfortable conversations lately about race in the NBA, and in some cases, who has pretty privilege. This was quickly becoming my number one reason not to watch the WNBA. Now, originally, it was the talent level. Back when the WNBA started, the talent level was god-awful, and it has improved. But I'm here to tell you, I don't watch sports for social justice lectures. I don't want to watch sports for catfights over who should be on the cover of Vogue. That's what the WNBA is becoming? Count me out. So, Sparks rookie Cameron Brink stepped in it. She wasn't even asked about race or privilege. She volunteered this information. What she said in an interview, quote, "I will acknowledge there's a privilege for younger white players in the league. There is a privilege that we have inherently, and the privilege of appearing feminine. Some of my teammates are more masculine. Some of my teammates go by they, them pronouns. I know I can feed into that because I like to dress femininely, but that's just me. I want everyone to be accepted," unquote. Now, I'm by no means an expert in race. You can pretty much tell, right? But my first reaction was Cameron Brink was trying to say something that would keep her from getting the snot kicked out of her like Caitlin Clark. Because if there's one thing we learned in the last weekend, Clark is getting the hell kicked out of her simply because she's the face of the league and she's a rookie. My second reaction is, despite Cameron Brink trying not to get her butt kicked out there physically, she's probably going to get the hell kicked out of her anyway. The inherent privilege of younger white players appearing feminine? You do realize some people might take that and say black women aren't feminine, right? I mean, I don't know how to... I see lovely black women every single day of my life. I happen to be married to a black woman at some point in my life. Not now, but I was. I must have thought she was feminine. Now you're... Oof. I'm not saying... Look, please understand. I'm not trying to suggest for one moment that Cameron Brink is racist. That's not it. I'm simply saying that she was asked about a topic that she clearly doesn't know squat about, or she tried to diffuse something that she clearly doesn't know squat about. I'm definitely not saying she meant it that way. I don't know. I don't know what's in her heart. But if you want to be surrounded... No, let me rephrase. If you don't want to get your booty kicked on the court by a bunch of masculine they-thems, don't say, pretty girls get privilege and I'm so hot. Cameron. The Dodgers' Clayton Kershaw will throw a 2-inning simulated game in Rancho Cucamonga on Friday. The idea is to build up his strength with another simulated game of 3, another of 4, another of 5, and then if he can hang, send him out on a rehab assignment. The timeline for his return is around the All-Star break. Reliever Dinelson Lamet has elected to become a free agent. He was one of those guys that the Dodgers kept shuffling between AAA, Oklahoma City, and Los Angeles. And for that reason alone, the idea of going back to Oklahoma, I understand. He wasn't terrible with LA. In just 3 appearances, he had an ERA of 2.08. UCLA football has finally addressed its defensive line by recruiting lineman Tyler Partlow. He is the second commit this week for the recruiting class of 2025, a 3-star prospect out of Middle Village, New York. He is considered the 13th best prospect in the state and the 110th best among defensive linemen. LAFC have added goalie Thomas Hasal, though through the end of next year. He last played in MLS with Vancouver. I have no idea where he fits on the depth chart, though, because let's be real, the black and gold, Hugo Lloris is the starter, and Abraham Romero, he at least for now is listed as a backup. The Kings have also re-signed forward Andre Lee to a one-year contract. He has played 3 seasons with the minor league affiliate in Ontario. He is the third black player in the Kings organization, along with Quinton Byfield and Akil Thomas. So, you let me know what you think, though, in the comments thread. Are you excited about the idea of hiring Dan Hurley as opposed to a podcaster to run the Lakers? What are your thoughts on either Corey Linsley leaving or Cameron Brink's pretty privilege? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.